afternoon, and welcome to our Show Me What You Can Do debate. We are Siham, Dania, Daniel, Isabel, and Samantha. And here is our thesis.
Our thesis for this debate is there is a part of language that is innate, while there is another part of it that can only be acquired through experience. Now here's our first argument for this debate. We know that mathematical reasoning is something we are born with, and in fact, it is this mathematical reasoning that allows us to translate, to say it in any way, the information that we receive from our sense perception in order to have an interpretation of the world. Therefore, we can consider this mathematical reasoning a form of language, and this form of language is innate.
According to Pythagoras, the information we perceive from the world can interpret to calculations and mathematical reasoning. For example, in the movie Ex Machina, Eva couldn't have had the slightly human reasoning if she hadn't had the mathematical basis. Another example is physics. We study and interact with movement with physical formulas. Let's imagine you have a boy and you ask this boy to throw a ball to land it in a specific place. He will do it and he probably do it correctly. This happens because we have the ability to use mathematics as a language and to interpret the world around us.
That's right, Dania. In fact, we do have a natural tendency or predisposition to develop mathematics and to use it to interpret the world around us. That is, to use it as a form of language, even if this process is unconscious. To prove this fact, there is the fact that early human tribes used mathematics even before discovering fire. And that it's also true that various cultures developed both mathematics and language simultaneously, and this happened with them without communicating with each other or influencing each other in any way. This proves that we do have a natural predisposition to develop mathematics and language, and to use mathematics in fact as a language to interact with the world around us.
Thank you, Siham. And here's our argument number 2. We are born with the basis of language, even though there is a part of it that is acquired throughout our experience. According to the philosopher Anaxagoras, he proposed a theory that talked about that everything is inside everything, but in different concentrations, and the only thing that we have to do is develop it. An example of this is in the movie Ex Machina, where Eva and Kyoko had knowledge inside their heads since the beginning, and the thing they had to do was develop it throughout their lives. That's why Eva had to talk with Caleb in order to develop her social and also her language abilities, in order to make them seem more natural and to develop them in a correct way. Another idea that supports this thesis is Chomsky. He proposed that all humans have a language acquisition device.
So this language acquisition device allows everyone to have the innate grammatical knowledge in their minds. With grammatical knowledge, I'm talking about nouns, verbs, pronouns, etc. And we are all born with this. So we will be later on developing our own language thanks to the categories and everything we have in the mind.
An example of this, according to the Universal Grammar Account, children instinctively know how to attach nouns and verbs in order to make them into meaningful phrases. In other words, people already know since people is born, they know language, and the only thing they have to do is memorize words and know how to attach them together in order to make meaningful phrases.
Okay, thank you, Sammy. So before we talked about innate and language learned through interaction. In this case, we are going to talk about language acquisition and evolution through the experiences with our environments and the rationalization and understanding of this experience. Kant is a great example for this because he synthesized the rational elements and the empirical elements of perception and filtered them into categories. So, in this case, we need to talk about interaction with our environment, which means that we are born to acquire language. He uses an interesting phrase, citing David Hume, that knowledge originates from sense perception. This means that data is obtained from experience, encoded in a certain language. It doesn't matter if it's mathematics, visual language, or whatever. Coded in a language. And this will be further decoded in our minds thanks to the innate language structures that are contained in our a priori categories in the mind. These a priori categories in the mind will help us later to create our own conception of the world through the decoding and encoding process. So this means that language structures are innately contained in our mind. So before we are born, we have them, and this will be later transformed into something meaningful as a language after the experience and perception.
Also, to complement this idea, David Hume used to say that everything that changes has a basis of existence. Ergo, something that changes throughout time and develops constantly is something that actually exists and not something partial or something non-existent that is willing to exist. It's actually something that exists and is tangible or not tangible, but it's there.
Well, we can conclude from this debate that there is a part of language that is innate, that we have to develop some part of it, and we can only do this through time and therefore through experience. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.